Early this morning from the Baltimore Convention Center. Negri on your left, Todd Stevens on your right, both SCG Tour Open champions. Negri getting it done with Storm, Todd Stevens getting it done with Eldrazi-tron, both last year. You see at the top, David Long versus Jody Keith, both playing Turbo Depths. And on the bottom, Jonathan Rosum playing White-Black Aggro against Collins Mullen playing White-Black Aggro. So these two teams are playing some very similar stuff, and we are underway.
I guess that means they made the right choices in some of these formats. This White-Black Aggro deck from both Collins and Rosum have looked really good. But I'm more interested to see this Value Town Green-White deck versus Kazu's Jeskai Control.
Yeah, I am curious about how Todd Stevens approaches this matchup. Of course, you're playing against a deck here in Jeskai Control that has a ton of removal, and paths and bolts and helixes and snapcasters and all that stuff. We all know at this point how Jeskai Control works. Green-White Company is basically just a creature deck. So we'll see if Todd can overcome this very removal-dense deck that Kazu is playing.
Yeah, so it looks like Todd Stevens has mulliganed at least once and I think twice. So he's a little short on cards, but he had a pretty decent start with 2 mana accelerators. And but while Kazu, is trying to set up in the early game with removal spells and such, Todd Stevens can regain that card advantage because the game goes longer than normal.
This is a Tireless Tracker, and now we'll have a Temple Guard on the battlefield untapped, which will bring along a clue. So that'll be a way for Todd Stevens to kind of work through these mulligan issues that he's had.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tireless Tracker is a great way to recoup some of that lost card advantage from the mulligans. But that's all Todd Stevens' deck is. Tireless Trackers, Courser, Crewfix. Now the Reliquary doesn't gain actual card advantage, but it can turn your lanes into Rising Canopies, so make sure you don't flood. It's also just an insanely powerful card and really the backbone of his deck.
You see Kazu going to fire off a Lightning Bolt. Tracker down.
Wonder which one that's targeted.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm going to go back over to Negri now. This will be a Plains. We'll pass the turn back. Steven's going to cash in the clue, get himself a new card. And now he will untap and draw a card for his 4th turn of the game. It's a copy of Wooded Foothills. Keep in mind that Todd Stevens does have a main deck copy of Warship here this weekend. Talking to Nick Miller before we went live today, it has been driving some players nuts.
Yeah, like Ross Merriam yesterday. Holy cow.
Well, when we say Turbo Depths, they're not kidding around. David Long does win game number 1 over Jody Keith very, very quickly.
Wonder what happened.
Yeah.
Probably made it 2020 on turn 2.
Probably a good idea. Here's a Snapcaster Mage. And this will be a Lightning Bolt going to go after Noble Hierarch. I think we might have a Collected Company in response, and we will.
Shouldn't have done that.
Mm-hmm. Top 6 here for Todd Stevens. We'll see how he does.
Yeah, so now Stevens has, recouped 1 card from the clue off of Tireless Tracker, and now he's getting 2 fresh cards off of the Collected Company. And if he's able to turn the creatures into more cards, he'll be right back in this game. Like, Kazu still has a ton of cards in hand, but his entire game plan revolves around trying to kill all of his opponent's creatures, and that's kind of tough to do when every creature basically draws Todd Stevens a card.
Stevens has a Courser and a Tracker. Well, that's a nice Collected Company.
What's really cool to me about Courser Crewfix in Modern and, sometimes even Legacy or whatever, is that fetch lands break even, when you crack them, which is pretty sweet.
Courser not a card I really expected to see Modern play, and it doesn't see a ton, but in what Todd Stevens has built here with his Value Town deck, it is rather good. We have seen him get into game states where he plays multiple Coursers. Where he gets multiple Coursers. And yeah, he can't get a Plains with the Wooded Foothills.
Now, he was right the first time.
Yeah.
He grabbed Temple Guard and then he was just like, why am I taking shockland damage?
Yep.
Well, because you gotta.
And now he'll search for the path, and he'll get the Plains from the path.
Pretty sure it was a bolt, not a path.
He may have pathed his own thing.
Oh, he pathed his own thing.
Yeah.
Oh, that's way smart. I'm stupid.
That's all right.
We're getting there.
And what this allows him to do by pathing his own thing and then searching him a land, he should get 2 clues now?
Yeah, he has 2 clues over there hidden off to the side. Path to Exile, not particularly good against Jeskai control.
Yeah.
Very few actual targets, Celestial Colonnade being one of the best targets, simply because it takes so much mana investment to turn it on and attack. But Todd Stevens' deck, relies on Ghost Quarter to take care of problematic lands like that. And he'd much rather turn his Path to Exile into not only an extra land so he has more mana to work with, an extra life from Courser, and an extra clue from Tireless Tracker.
We're going to go back over to Kazu now, who's got to really start taking care of a couple of things that Todd has on the battlefield. Most likely needs to start with the tracker if he has an answer. You can see his battlefield here with Steam Fence, a Hollowed Fountain. This is going to be a Path to Exile on the tracker, which I think is smart. Got to get this thing out of here before it starts to run away with the game. And then you see the copy of Field of Ruin. Todd will go searching again here from the path. That'll be a basic forest. He'll gain a life from the Courser, and then we'll see the top card of his deck.
This is kind of a nightmare for Kazu Negri's Jeskai control deck. We have not the greatest start in the world for Todd Stevens, a mulligan to 5. His first 2 turns were just mana creatures. But every single creature that he draws off the top of his deck is going to gain some sort of small advantage for him. Courser Crewfix gains some life, which is particularly problematic when half of Kazu's game plan is basically bolt, snap, bolt, try to kill you.
Yep.
And on top of that, he's able to hit land drops, when he's able to find Ghost Quarter. That starts taking away those Celestial Colonnades as outs for Kazu. It's a tough road to climb, even with Stevens starting on 5 cards.
Kazu going to fire off another path to take care of the Courser. Todd Stevens is going to let that resolve. He will draw a Courser. Not going to reveal the top card of his deck just yet, of course, because he does not have a Courser on the battlefield. But now he does. Now we see neither Reliquary.
Excuse me. Notably, he actually chose not to search on Kazu's second Path to Exile, wanting to draw that Courser Crewfix right then. Oh, what a sequence. Cracked Clue, hit Knight of the Reliquary, found a land on top to play with Courser, and has enough mana to play the Knight of the Reliquary.
It's a pretty good start here for Todd Stevens. If he wants to play the Knight, he can. You see the Windswept Heath on top of the deck. He's just going to pass the turn right now, though. Maybe he wants to crack another Clue. We'll see as we head back over to Kazu.
Crack Clue's fine. I think mostly he wants to make sure that neither the Reliquary won't get hit by a Lightning Helix or a Lightning Bolt. And with only the one fetch land in the graveyard, he's going to wait at least one turn to get that Windswept Heath or Horizon Canopy into the grave.
Yeah, just looking at a 3/3 Knight right now. And as Todd did mention, the goal is probably for it to be a 4/4. As there you see a Steam Fence under the battlefield untapped. We got an update there for you on our standard match. That white-black aggro mirror goes to the player on your right. That is Collins Mullen, who is ahead right now over Jonathan Rosum, which of course rhymes with awesome. Hey, you're not supposed to be in Modern, Teferi.
He's
what are
been
you
showing
doing
up
here?
He's just good.
Teferi, hero of Dominaria, has arrived. It's going to untap a Steam Fence.
He's the
and
hero,
a Hollowed Fountain.
The hero Modern deserves.
Yeah, that's for sure. Maybe the hero the Modern needs, as Todd Stevens is going to crack that canopy and draw a Windswept Heath. We'll see the top card is a Wooded Foothills. Stevens will untap. He'll draw that Wooded Foothills. Top card of the deck now is a Ghost Quarter.
All right, well, that's 2 Ghost Quarters onto the battlefield for Stevens. Effectively, saving him multiple times from future Celestial Colonnades from Rosum. The Field of Ruin can take care of one, potentially, but, 2 of them is going to be an uphill battle. And that's his main win condition, obviously.
Negri, I'm going to sit here patiently at 11 life while Stevens checking in at 18. Stevens is going to crack the Clue via Birds of Paradise and a Ghost Quarter. Voice of Resurgence to draw. Forest on top of the deck. He'll start with Voice. It's a great place to start in case Kazu has some sort of counter magic.
Yeah, and the fact that he played Teferi and ticked up signifies, at least to me, that he probably has something like Logic Knot in hand, where he wanted to protect from like a Knight of the Reliquary or something. But this Voice of Resurgence means he either has to counter that unless Stevens pays 5, but he doesn't. It might actually be more valuable for him to counter Knight of the Reliquary and give Stevens a Voice of Resurgence token.
Teferi's going to go up to 4. Going to draw Kazu a card. He'll be untapping some lands here at the end step. You see Kazu's battlefield here of 5 lands, among them a Field of Ruin. Snapcaster Mage, which recast a Lightning Bolt earlier in the game. And then, of course, there is that Teferi that's on 4 counters. Todd Stevens did knock it down a little bit with the Courser of Crewfix. Speaking of Courser of Crewfix, Todd does have that on his side of the battlefield, along with the Birds of Paradise, a Voice of Resurgence. Neither the Reliquary, that's a 4/4, but could grow even larger if Ghost Quarter targets one of Todd Stevens' own land. And you see that Forest revealed on top of his deck from the Courser that's on the battlefield. Kazu going to tap 2 mana to play a Snapcaster Mage. Looks like he's going to go after Path to Exile. And Path probably going to go after Knight, but it actually looks like it's going to be Courser. Maybe a little bit of a surprise there?
Yeah. Not sure I believe that just happened. But, you know, it's all dependent on what's in Kazu's hand and what his plan is. And, you know, if he, you know, his plan is untap 2 lands, end of turn, and Cryptic Command. That's not that bad.
Okay.
Sure.
That is not that bad because, of course, Teferi untaps 2 lands. Kazu says, I still have priority. I'm going to Cryptic Command, bounce your Knight of the Reliquary, draw a card, pass the turn back. And by doing that, you, Todd Stevens, don't really have a lot going on. You're going to have to reestablish that Knight of the Reliquary, which means I get another turn with my Teferi.
Yeah, I mean, maybe his plan is eventually to burn out Todd Stevens, and the life gain over time from all of the interaction that Todd Stevens has in his deck makes the Corso Crufus actually a slightly worse threat, or slightly worse for Kazu.
Back to Stevens we go. Here is that Knight of the Reliquary again, looking to get that powerful creature established.
Yeah, at this juncture, I think the ability from Voice of Resurgence is actually more important than turning it into an elemental. I don't know if I would attack into Teferi, but at the same time, you have to try to put pressure on it. He has 3 lands kind of rotting in his hand right now, and, you know, the Knight of the Reliquary having Summoning Sickness this turn after getting bounced by the Cryptic Command.
Yeah, a bit of an issue there for sure. I think I agree with you. Voice of Resurgence probably better served to just kind of hang out, but at the same time, Teferi's so good because Teferi can kind of tuck the Voice of Resurgence away.
Yep.
And then you can start playing your Jeskai game again if you'd like.
Well, it looks like he has his other Teferi in hand. He can actually tuck both creatures right now.
It looks like he's going to tuck Knight away.
But
Steven says, I'm going to fetch first. Then we can tuck the Knight away.
Sure. Yeah, Teferi's been around all weekend in Standard so far, and the fact that he's showing up in Modern and doing work.
Yeah. This particular game, that's for sure.
He's looking pretty nice. With so many fetch lands, it's safe to assume that, you know, you can get a lot of value out of Teferi. Like, your opponent, you know, can't fetch if they want to draw that card in a couple turns, etc.
Yeah, this is bad news here for Todd Stevens. So you saw Kazu tuck Knight of the Reliquary, Path the Voice of Resurgence. Stevens thought about it for a little bit and said, I am going to search up a land, which means that Knight of the Reliquary gets shuffled back in the deck. Not going to be a draw for a couple of turns, unless, of course, he peels it now because it was shuffled away. And Teferi's starting to run away with this thing.
Yeah, I mean, he's already drawn 2 cards, I believe, and tucked something. And maybe he's drawn 3 cards and tucked something. I know he got hit for 2 with the Courser Crufix, so the math is a little bit boggled in there.
Here's an Azusa Lost, but Seeking.
A great card in Todd Stevens' deck. However, he really needs Raminap Excavator to go nutso with Rising Canopy and Ghost Quarter.
Yep. The Wooded Foothills. And Stevens will just pass the turn back. This will be a copy of Secure the Waste. The Benjamin Nikolic tech. An interesting way, to go about winning the game. Making a few soldier tokens.
I kind of love Secure the Waste with the Teferi untap. You can put the untap on the stack, float 2 mana, and then, you know, tap out on your own end step if you want to make a few extra tokens. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily something you want to do in a you know, Jeskai Flash control deck, but it is an option.
The one thing you want to do is keep drawing cards, and that's exactly what Teferi is allowing Kazu Negri to do. That Planeswalker is just all over this game right now, as there's a copy of Electrolyze to take care of Azusa. Another card being drawn here by Kazu. I think we're going to see some attacks here from all the Knuckleheads, and we will. 4 soldiers, 2 Snapcaster Mages coming on in, and Kazu is flexing all over this game, or perhaps Teferi is doing it for him.
My, how the turntables turn.
Kazu gets to untap 2 more lands, pass the turn back over to Stevens, who will draw. Not sure how much Todd wants to play this one out. Time is certainly of the essence here. And this is a matchup that probably does take a while, so he will concede the game. As Kazu Negri off the back of Teferi, Hero of Dominaria, going to win game number 1 over Todd Stevens. Just got control, up a game here over Green-White Company. We check our scoreboard. You'll find that David Long is up a game over Jody Keith in that Turbo Depths mirror. And in the standard match, Collins Mullen up a game over Jonathan Rosum in that white-black aggro mirror. If you're looking for decks to play in standard and legacy, I think these two teams might be telling you what to do, but we'll talk about that more after these messages from our sponsors. We are back, getting ready for game number 2 between Kazu Negri and Todd Stevens. Just got control. Green-White Company. Negri is up a game, so we are going to turn our attention to Stevens. And his sideboard of 2 Engineered Explosives, 2 Eidolon of Rhetoric, 2 Reclamation State, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Stony Silence, and 5 one-ofs here in Blessed Alliance, Kataki, War's Wage, Eldritch Evolution, Tireless Tracker, and Gideon's Intervention. Todd, what do you like from Todd?
Not a lot, actually. I mean, the green-white deck sideboard is full of a lot of very specific cards for linear matchups. Like you see Stony Silence, Kataki War's Wage, things like that to really. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought. My apologies. Very specific cards for specific matchups. He doesn't have any generically good cards other than Tireless Tracker, which will come in here. Cards like Eldritch Evolution are there to give you more redundancy in finding the sweet bullets like Kataki War's Wage. But other than that, I don't see a whole lot. Like Gideon's Intervention, you can maybe bring in, preemptively name Teferi Hero of Dominaria since it did so much work last game. But I can't imagine that Todd thinks there's more than a singleton in this Jeskai control deck. Unbeknownst to him, though, there are 2.
We take a look at Kazu's sideboard of 2 Damping Spheres, 2 Celestial Purge, 2 Dispel, 2 Vendilion Click, and he's got a bunch of one-ofs, 2 in Engineered Explosives, Wear Tear, Elspeth Sun's Champion, Settle the Wreckage, Ruined Halo, Bane Slayer Angel, and the very powerful Negate.
So flying creatures, I think, are going to be pretty good for Kazu in this matchup. I think Vendilion Click can come in. The ability to take a card away from Stevens, not necessarily a good thing, but you do want to be able to put pressure on Stevens, and a way to do that is with Vendilion Click. I don't mind Elspeth Sun's Champion. It's a very good card in games that go super long. Settle the Wreckage is also pretty good if you start to fall behind against the Gavany Township Plan B.
Yeah, and then I like to call that Plan C. Todd Stevens.
Plan
matchup.
Stevens.
Yeah, these players are underway here in game number 2. Wooded Foothills is where Todd Stevens will start. It's a Scalding Tarn for Kazu Negri. Stevens will fall down to 19. He's probably going to fetch up a Temple Garden, and we are underway here in game number 2. Speaking of game 2, Jody Keith won his second game against David Long. Turbo Dep's getting ready for a third and final one, and of course we'll keep you updated on Mullen and Rosum as best we can. That white-black aggro mirror. If you're looking for a good standard deck, you're going to want to check out that deck we did with Jonathan Rosum yesterday. We'll of course replay it for you today, as he is very big on that white-black aggro deck. As we head back over to Stevens, just a forest and a passing of the turn. Negri will sacrifice his Scalding Tarn, fall down to 19, get himself a Steam Vents.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the ideal start from Todd Stevens' side. You know, he's down a game. He didn't have a turn 1 Noble Hierarch or Birds of Paradise. Didn't have a turn 2 Voice of Resurgence. Those are the kind of cards you really want to have in this matchup to speed things up or to just protect you from counterspells in the future.
It'll be a search for his Kanta there for Kazu Negri in the second turn of the game, given that the battlefield's pretty clear. Not a bad time for that. This will be a Knight of the Reliquary. It is a 4/4, given the 2 fetch lands that are in the graveyard. So Bolton Helix, not options. Of course, Electrolyze isn't one either. It'll take a Path to Exile to take care of that large threat, or something I'm not expecting, as Kazu is going to put a search for his Kanta in the graveyard from the trigger, draw a fresh card.
Yeah, Knight of the Reliquary being a 4/4 here is going to require Path to Exile almost assuredly. If Kazu does not have it, there is a good chance that Todd Stevens is able to run away with this game with just a single Knight.
That is how powerful of a card Knight of the Reliquary can be. As having that thing live not only is going to increase its size, but it's going to increase the quality of Todd Stevens' draw steps. Speaking of increasing the quality of your draw step, this is a Serum Visions by Kazu. He'll draw a card, scry not 1, but 2. Going to figure out exactly where he wants to put these 2 cards. And it looks like he may split the difference here, leaving one on top and one on bottom.
I like to call it post-ordain. You know.
No, I think I got it. I think I got it. Stevens got into the battlefield tapped. We're going to go back over to Stevens. No path, no problem. His Knight is good to go.
So Stevens can actually start just ghost courting a bunch here if he wants to. He has a Raymond App Excavator, well, now a Corsair Crewfix as well. He's kind of going off.
His deck is starting to do its thing. Corsair revealing a Windswept Teeth. Ghost Quarter, of course, to play. Stevens will gain a little bit of life. Active Knight. And he has the Corsair rolling as well. Kazu. Ooh, hold on a second. We might be ghost quartering on the upkeep. And Todd Stevens says, don't worry about it. Dispel going to be placed in the graveyard. Now we're going to ghost quarter away a plane. So this ghost quarter plane you talked about, time to engage.
No, this is great, actually. This is a super heads-up play by Todd Stevens. There are 2 copies of Supreme Verdict in Kazu Negri's deck, but there's only 1 copy of Plains.
Ooh, okay.
So now he's stuck with 0 white mana in play. He can only play up to 1 since he's not playing something like Mystic Gate, which can filter into double white mana.
Okay.
So, yeah, this is fairly problematic for Kazu at this point.
One of the things about Todd Stevens with this green-white company deck, he loves a ghost quarter in here. We all know that by now as he plays. I want to make sure it's 4. Yeah, he does play 4 copies in here. However, one of the things that Todd Stevens can really get an advantage of is kind of what you mentioned there. If you know what deck lists and, more importantly, their mana bases look like, you're going to know exactly what to ghost quarter. That ghost quarter on the plains, no accident where I think most people may have gone after a non-basic.
Oh, for sure. Now, at this point, if Kazu plays any white source that's not a fetch land, Todd Stevens can just hit it and know for a fact that Kazu's not going to be able to get a plains.
Kazu's going to go with a Snapcaster Mage. Snapcaster's going to allow Kazu to recast a Serum Visions, but Todd Stevens doesn't care about that. Todd Stevens has got the white mana on lock. White mana is what Kazu needs to take care of Knight of the Reliquary and Corsair Crewfix with Path to Exile or Supreme Verdict, and he's going to have a hard time getting there now, it looks like, because the red removal against these threats, not going to do it.
Nope. 4 toughness is specifically difficult for Kazu's deck to deal with outside of his exiling removal spells.
Kazu going to play a fetch land there in Scalding Tarn. Todd Stevens will go activate that Knight of the Reliquary. Going to sacrifice Forest to get a Windswept Teeth, which he conveniently takes off the top of his deck and places it on the battlefield. He'll shuffle, present. Kazu will cut. We'll take a look at the top card from Corsair. It's a Horizon Canopy. That may be Stevens' draw step for the turn. We will see, as he could, of course, sacrifice the fetch land, which he will. So he'd like a new draw.
Man, I wish we were still playing bingo. Got shuffled twice in 1 turn. I'm pretty sure that would have bingoed me yesterday. But, you know, I'm only 5 rounds behind you.
That's all right. There's plenty of time to catch up in your next show at the Invitational.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm just glad to be there, Jim.
Top card here for Corsair is Collected Thumpany.
That's a nice one.
Yes, it is.
So a really cool trick that Todd Stevens can do here, the Scalding Tarn being targeted by a Ghost Quarter usually pretty bad.
Of course.
Right? But at this stage in the game, he wants to just try to keep Kazu off of double white. He could choose to Ghost Quarter the Scalding Tarn. If Kazu cracks it and goes and gets a white land, then he can use a second Ghost Quarter that he finds off another Reliquary, or one he can potentially play out of the graveyard with Ramonap Excavator.
Okay. Ghost Quarter was the land that Todd Stevens elected to play. Now he'll just pass the turn back, threatening Company, threatening another the Reliquary activation, and who knows what else, as Kazu Negri is going to take a look at the top card of his deck from Search for Iskanta. Speaking of Search for Iskanta, of course that card does transform into Iskanta, the Sunken Ruin, but that's going to be a stinker against GhostQuarter.com. Not really going to work.
Is that what we're calling it now?
That might as well. That's what he's doing now.
Yeah. So now Kazu needs a second fetch land. He has to shock and take 6 damage to cast Supreme Verdict. And then Todd Stevens can even end of turn follow that up with a Collected Company that he drew after shuffling twice.
Yeah, he could just rebuild.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we see the top card of Stevens' deck there, Surgical Extraction. Now, that's not going to be a hit there with Collected Company, so maybe Todd Stevens would activate another Reliquary first, try to get a fresh card on top, a little bit of information, so on and so forth. We'll see how things do shake out on this turn as Negri is activating his Scalding Tarn. Players are going to make sure their life totals are correct here. Just a moment before Kazu does search, and now he is going to search.
Almost certainly getting a white source.
Yep, there's a Hallowed Fountain.
Play a fetch land, crack it.
Mm-hmm. These are all things you saw coming.
I mean, it was really his only way out of getting Ghost Quarter, soft locked. And, it hurts a lot. Like, he's taking a ton of damage. And if Todd Stevens just hit something like 2 Neither Reliquaries off of his Collected Company, he just attacks for the win on the next turn.
That's very true. What's interesting about this, too, is we saw Kazu mill over a Dispel with the Search for Iskanta. So it makes you wonder how many of those does he have in his deck after sideboard. It's something that Todd Stevens is certainly going to think about, as here is Supreme Verdict.
Yeah, I mean, my guess is he was just searching for white mana sources to cast Supreme Verdict.
Stevens is going to float a green mana. Then he's going to activate Knight of the Reliquary. You might see him go digging for a Horizon Canopy here. Could just be a normal land, too. As he's gone by a couple. Well, there is another Ghost Quarter. I want those white sources.
They gone.
Todd Stevens is hungry for planes.
Yeah, I mean, the cost of Ghost Quarter is pretty high. Like, sacrificing your own land and your opponent usually getting to turn it into another basic is kind of gross on occasion. But at the same time, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Stevens now is going to cast Collected Company. Does Kazu have a Dispel? The answer is yes.
Ooh.
All right.
That hurts.
All right. Kazu's doing okay. Now you see the top card of Stevens' deck was revealed from the Courser. It is Neither Reliquary, so he can rebuild that way.
He's 1 mana short of being able to go Ramonap Excavator plus Neither Reliquary, so I would expect him to just play another Knight here. There is a chance he just double Ghost Quarters, though.
Yeah, he's thinking about it. He's got those two Ghost Quarters untapped. He is definitely thinking about it, going after those white sources.
I think I would strongly consider doing both of them now. That way, if Kazu has drawn a Path to Exile in the last few turns, he cannot cast it.
Sure. Totally makes sense. Again, you mentioned only 1 basic planes?
Yes.
For Kazu Negri, and it's in the graveyard right now.
Yeah, he does have quite a few basic lands. He has 3 island, 1 mountain, 1 plains. He has 1 in play already, 1 in the graveyard already. So he's going to be able to fetch back up to 5 total mana, even through Ghost Quarters. However, no white sources for Path to Exile or Teferi, Hero of Dominaria.
That's notable, as that card did win Kazu Negri game number 1 in a very, very big way. So you see the island and the mountain that have been searched up there from the Ghost Quarter activations. Todd Stevens is just throwing away his lands.
I mean, lands are bad. You got to, draw too many lands and you lose the game because of it. So
Teferi is going to go down into the graveyard. Will Kazu transform his Search for Iskanta into Iskanta, the Sunken Ruin?
I think I probably would at this point. If he has to target it with Ghost Quarter, he's not targeting like a future white source.
Kazu's going to keep that Search for Iskanta for now. That is an island. He'll pass the turn back. So white mana, of course, is the issue. This is all part of Todd Stevens' game plan. Stevens does have a land to play in Ghost Quarter number 4. And he also has Rain App Excavator number 1.
That's a card I actually thought he might bring in his hand, the Eidolon of Rhetoric. It's not that good. It kind of puts you in a soft lock where you can only cast one spell a turn, and your counterspell opponent can just counter that one spell a turn.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have stuff like Collect a Company in your deck, you can cast it after your opponent has cast a Serum Visions or something. But mainly, it stops Snapcaster Mage.
Todd Stevens can't stop activating Ghost Quarters. He just can't stop. And now the Reliquary is much too large for Kazu to handle. He will concede the game as Todd Stevens is going to win game number 2 over Kazu Negri. greenwhiteghostquarter.net.com.edu wins the game over Jeskai Control. We're going to see if Todd Stevens can continue to educate us on the stylings of Ghost Quarter in just a minute. We are back and ready here to watch game number 3 between Kazu Negri and Todd Stevens. It is Jeskai Control Green-White Company, or as we are now calling it, greenwhiteghostquarter.edu. As these players,
because he's really teaching you.
He is teaching.
He's teaching in the ways.
You want white mana? Tough.
Yeah.
You don't get it around here. Not Todd Stevens' first time activating Ghost Quarter against Jeskai. I can promise you that, as these players will take a look at their 7 cards. They'll be given the green light. As you see, Jody Keith and David Long, they're all tied up. The Turbo Depths Mirror and Collins Mullen, Jonathan Rosum, they are not all tied up. Collins Mullen up a game in the white-black aggro mirror. Again, I think we'll be able to show you the Jonathan Rosum deck tech at the conclusion of this match. For those of you who may have missed out on it yesterday, white-black aggro really dominating on Magic Online, starting to dominate in real life now too, as it looks like Stevens is going to take a mulligan. And for Turbo Depths, maybe we can get a little deck tech with the
Jody
Goon Squad.
Keith. Yeah.
The Goon Squad, Jody Keith. The leader of the Goon Squad.
I was gonna say, is he the Goon Squad? Am I understanding that correctly?
He's the leader of the Goon Squad.
Yeah.
Nola's finest, as Todd Stevens is going to take a mulligan. So we're going to talk about the StarCityGames.com weekly sale here very quickly, where you can save up to 20% off of select modern singles. Windswept Teeth searches for Hallowed Fountain, Todd. That's
you know what?
why
I'm pretty
there.
sure all these cards have been in a deck I've played in a tournament before.
Probably all in the same
all
deck.
4.
Bloodbraid Alpha, Breath Decay. That's just good mana, good deck building.
I mean, Modern's a wild place. Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
Hey, now the Reliquary can tie that whole room together. Go to StarCityGames.com/weekly sale for more information on this sale. This one's going to end on Monday at 10:59 a.m., but don't worry, we'll have a new sale for you at 11 a.m. Eastern mañana as we head back to our match.
You've been listening to too much Despacito?
You know it. You know it.
All right, Todd Stevens tanking on this mulligan. That's one of the really cool aspects of Team Opens is, if you have a really tough mulligan decision, you have 2 other good friends of yours, or in my case, acquaintances, helping you decide whether or not you should mulligan.
I do like, just from a humor standpoint, Todd Stevens asking someone else if he should keep a hand with Green Value Down. Dude, I would ask you.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I got nothing.
Yeah, this is your thing.
Yeah.
Noble Hierarch is where he will start game number 3.
It's like Fidel Castro asking somebody, "How do you be a dictator?"
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know, man. That's
I
kind of
need
your.
help. Yeah,
that's
that's
kind of
you.
your thing.
That's you.
Well, Windswept Heath, Temple Garden, Noble Hierarch, now no longer alive, thanks to Lightning Helix.
Yeah, attacking Todd Stevens' mana here is, pretty smart from Kazu's side. Yeah, he wants to keep him off of 3 mana on the second turn, so he doesn't cast an early Courser Crucifix or Night of the Reliquary. And there's a chance that Todd doesn't have a second land.
Which he does not. Keeping a one-lander, relying on mana accelerants against a deck that has Bolt, Path. Well, Path you don't mind, but Bolt, Electrolyze, Lightning Helix. A little risky business here from Todd Stevens. But does not appear he wanted to mulligan to 5.
Man, now I'm just imagining Todd Stevens rolling around in his socks.
What?
Risky business.
Oh, okay. Lost me for a minute. I was like, what are you talking about?
I don't know.
The voice of Resurgence has arrived. Kazu going to look at the top card from Search. He'll put a Path into the graveyard.
Think he needs lands? I saw a Teferi Hero of Dominaria peeking out in there. If he's binning a Path to Exile, one of the best cards in his deck in this matchup, it's almost certainly because he needs lands.
Well, perhaps Serum Visions will help him find them as he will scry 2. We'll see where he's going to put these 2 cards. Of course, he's already drawn his card. Looks like both these cards might be headed to the bottom. Yes, they are.
Bah.
Any follow-up here for Kazu?
Yeah, maybe he's considering just bolting the bird or,
He's going to go with another Serum Visions. Scry 2 yet again. I think he might be a little bit happier with these as he's moving them around. Yeah, he's going to go top. This go around. Serum Visions will resolve. Does he have land number 4?
My guess? No.
Don't think so.
Oh,
Okay, well,
I'm wrong.
there's Sulphur Falls.
As usual.
Let's go back over to Todd Stevens now, who will draw a card. Picked up a copy of Windswept Heath. That's land number 2. Mana Source number 3. First things first, Voice of Resurgence into the red zone. Going to knock Kazu down to 19. Windswept Heath will go to the graveyard. Going to bring Todd Stevens down to at least 16, potentially 14. There is a Night of the Reliquary. It is a 4/4 out of Bolt and Helix range once again.
Yeah, and that is the important thing. Like, Kazu doesn't really want to use Path to Exile right now because Todd Stevens is a little light on mana. But at the same time, once you get the Night of the Reliquary over a 4/4, you need either Path to Exile or Supreme Verdict.
Well, speaking of Supreme Verdict, there it is. Going to clean up everything. Kazu also milled a Supreme Verdict away via the search for Azcanta. And his Azcanta, it's almost time to transform. Now Stevens will be left with an Ely Cassis Elemental Token. Of course, Ely are reigning and defending Invitational champion.
I was going to say, do you have any other additives for
I could go all day.
Mother of Dragons?
I could go all day. Conquering Invitational champion. You see Courser of Crucifix.
Undefeated!
Yeah.
One-time champion!
Courser going to reveal. Courser here is that elemental token got in for 2 points of damage. Now Kazu's got a little bit of thinking to do.
Well, this is the 7th card he would be putting into the graveyard, so he's really taking on how good it is versus transforming the Search for Azcanta into the Sunken Ruin.
Looks like he's going to stay with the Azcanta for now. Hello, Hallowed Fountain. Is it time for Teferi? Oh, so scary. Yes.
Just Teferi and Search for Azcanta just dominating in Modern.
In Modern, yeah. It'd be weird. It'd be weird if you could play these cards in Standard together.
Yeah.
That would be strange.
Untapping Azcanta the Sunken Ruin, that's bananas.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
Courser is the draw. This is a Path to Exile.
If I'm Todd Stevens, I am very happy with this turn of events. Path to Exile on my Courser of Crucifix, that's fine. There wasn't even a land on top of the deck.
Yeah, I don't hate it. Get a 4th mana. Now he's able to actually cast Collected Company. There's a basic Plains. Stevens, and that was in the draw step. Stevens actually can play a Courser again and then maybe find a land on top of his deck and get to 5 mana. We'll see. He also has Ramunap Excavator in hand, so that could be a way to get a land onto the battlefield. Because right now, Todd Stevens needs to get into two spells per turn territory.
Just mono, mopey, 3-drops.
Well, that's what his deck does.
I know, it's great.
Teferi down to 3 counters. Kazu going to take a look at the top card with Azcanta.
Maybe regretting putting that Supreme Verdict into the graveyard.
He will transform. Draw a card. Azcanta the Sunken Ruin is here. Taps for a blue, of course. 2 in a blue. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You reveal a non-creature, non-land card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order.
You're just adding little pieces of flair to like every word you're saying today.
I feel better today.
Good. I'm glad. What was wrong? You had allergies yesterday?
It was a tough allergy day.
It happens.
What do we have here?
Something that costs 5. Baneslayer Angel?
That's a scheme.
Wow.
What's wrong? I can't afford Lyra Dawnbringer, bro?
No. I mean, if we're being honest, that's probably he's only got 1. It's not like the legendary part matters.
Yeah.
Maybe pumping Angel's not as good as protection from dragons and demons, you know.
Protection from, I don't know, Chameleon Colossus? That could happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Teferi going to untap a couple of lands.
Conveniently enough to activate a Search for Azcanta or cast Cryptic Command.
Just good sequencing. Draw a card. Ranganap Excavator. The Ghost Quarter plan is out the window this game. That's not going to be an option. Todd Stevens far too behind to do that.
Yeah, and I would, think it was a safe bet to say that Todd Stevens does not have Path to Exile in his deck anymore. So this Baneslayer Angel just going to be a giant roadblock until he can either get his creatures big enough to start attacking through it, or maybe he'll just die in 3 swings from the Baneslayer.
We're going to go with Tireless Tracker. He's got a clue along with it. Steven's going to sacrifice a fetch line, which means we should have a second clue on the way. The question is all this too slow? Because, yes, he's starting to generate his value. That's what his deck does. But is it too slow now when you're facing down a Baneslayer Angel and a Teferi, Hero of Dominaria?
I think so. And the fact that he doesn't have a ooh, what is this now?
This will be in response to the second fetch.
Oh, this actually might just kill Todd Stevens. He can go Helix to the Dome. If he Helixes the Dome and Stevens doesn't have a Ghost Quarter, which he hasn't played one, he's already played his land for the turn, Kazu could activate Celestial Colonnade and attack with Baneslayer and Colonnade for the win.
Sure.
But things can go wrong. Killing the Tireless Tracker, more than fine.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure if Kazu's in a rush or not to get this over with. He's already got a pretty sizable advantage. Now Todd Stevens is just trying to catch up. This will be a Courser. Top card is Noble Hierarch. Pass the turn back. Kazu will quickly untap and draw. Does he want to fire up the Colonnade or does he just want to stick with Baneslayer Angel?
I think firing up the Colonnade is pretty good here. Just because Stevens doesn't have an active Ghost Quarter right now, putting him to 3 life, maybe he draws a Helix or a Bolt. Obviously, the Courser Crewfix can gain some life here and there to make the burn spells a little worse, but I think keeping him on a 1-turn clock from a Baneslayer Angel swing is going to be ideal.
Well, he's going to fire up that Celestial Colonnade, going to get in here with the Flyers. He's going to have to flip it in reverse how those are tapped. Baneslayer should be tapped. Colonnade should not be, so we'll make sure Kazu gets that right.
Maybe he tapped it for mana.
And we will there we go. That's all better now. So now Kazu gets to untap a couple of lands, one of which is his Kanta. And he'll pass the turn back over to Todd Stevens. Stevens is going to reveal a Windswept Heath. Todd's in some serious trouble now, 18-3.
Yeah, I mean, that Baneslayer Angel is just going to spell doom. Even if he finds a way to stop the Celestial Colonnade with like a Ghost Quarter, he can only chump block with Birds of Paradise for so long. Without a hard answer, I think this one is getting close to wrapped up.
This will be Eclectic Company. Looks like this is going to resolve, actually. Birds of Paradise among those cards. Birds of Paradise could be on chump blocking duty. Here's Courser of Crewfix and Birds of Paradise. Let's take a look at that top card. That's a Wooded Foothills. All right, we're going to have to do it the hard way now. Put that on the battlefield. 2 triggers up to 5. Top card, Scavenging Ooze. It's not getting any easier. This is a Noble Hierarch. And unfortunately for that Birds of Paradise, I'm not even sure if it's going to get the opportunity to chump block, Todd, because that old Teferi card.
It's a good one.
A real jerk.
It's a good one.
Looks like Steven's going to do a little bit of attacking. Might be heading towards Teferi here, which I think would be pretty wise. But he might be slowing down, just going to attack with the Elemental Token, pass the turn back. That is an Electrolyze to take care of the Birds of Paradise, and that is going to do it. Kazu Negri going to win this match over Todd Stevens 2-1. Just got controlling enough to take care of Green-White Company. And I think we'll turn our attention to Standard now. It looks like those players are still duking it out in game number 2, Todd.
That is crazy. He was the Collins won game 1 before anyone else won a game, I think. Oh, no, I'm sorry. David Long won game 1 in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
But Collins, Mullen, and Jonathan Rosum. Oh.
Actually, looks like Collins just took the match.
Oh. Well,
just
took corrected.
The match. Is there what's going on in this Turbo Depths match then? We got 2020s just staring each other down?
Let's find out.
Yeah. Let's move to the top shelf. See what's going on between David Long and the leader of the Goon Squad, Jody Keith. Okay, this is neat. A bitter block. Oh, there's a lot of Pithy Needles on the battlefield.
Wow, there's a lot of Pithy Needles. Caracas from both sides. I'm guessing one of the Pithy Needles is naming Thespian Stage.
Yeah, we're gonna get a Pithy Needle update, and we got a Vampire Hex Mage coming in here. Fairy Token, a.k.a. Ari Lax.
I bet there's one on Mazavith as well.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. We're going to get an update. What I do know is this. Bitter Blossom is going to bring – we're going to get Bitter Blossom knocking Jody down to 8. So we've got 2 Pithy Needles from Jody on Mazavith. Sorcerer's Spyglass is on Ghost Quarter, and it looks like David Long has a Pithy Needle. David's Pithy Needle is on Vampire Hexmage, and both of his Thespian stages are Mazaviths. It's a pretty easy game.
Yeah, I think we're done.
I don't know what's going on here.
I don't want to do this. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Thespian Stage, like, I really wish it didn't retain the ability to turn into another land.
Yeah.
Like, it just feels like, you know, that is one cool way to get around Pithy Needle sometimes. You just use Thespian Stage to copy, like, basic forest or whatever. And, like, you can't name Thespian Stage anymore. You have to name forest. And then a future Thespian Stage can be activated.
Can do its thing, yeah.
So it looks like none of the Pithy Needles and Sorcerer's Spyglass are actually on Thespian Stage itself. So a backup Thespian Stage from Rosum could just make a 2020.
All right, here comes Vampire Hexmage again.
The Goon Squad blocking. I would actually probably put Ari Lax in the Goon Squad.
Yeah?
He's a goofy dude.
He's in there now.
Yeah.
First strike, going to kill some stuff, but Vampire Hexmage down. So Jody Keith with a big old block to take care of the Hexmage, which, of course, is needled via David Long's own needle.
Yeah, you know. Mirror match happens.
Sylvan Scrying.
Caracas on both sides, too, just keeping the Merit Lodge locked down. I'm never going to get to see a Jerry Token interplay.
No, 2020 ain't happening, man.
Man.
This mirror, I wonder how much these two players have played this mirror, I must say.
Sajiri's Step, eh?
That's interesting.
Just let his, like one of his future Vampire Hex Mages attack through the Bitter Blossom tokens one turn.
That could be a thing. Here's an attack for 2. Ghost Quarter there from Jody. All right, so now Dark Depths is going to go down to 6 counters. Is it fast enough? I guess there's a Crocus out there, though.
How many people in Twitch chat do you think right now are like, he can't tap those Thespian Stages for mana? They're Maze of Iths.
Probably a non-zero amount.
There's at least one.
Yes. Our old pal Urbor goes over there.
Can we get an Urborg counter on the screen?
Yeah. Our old pal Urborg out there for Jody Keith.
I hate Urborg.
I love Urborg.
It's a great card. It is really bad for coverage.
That's true. That's true. I like to illuminate it like a hockey puck.
Well, that's the Jiri step with the Elvish Spirit Guy is actually threatening some damage here. Jody needs to find a way to gain some life or I don't know.
Find a way to get this game over with faster.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna ice down. That Dark Depths down to 5. Long will draw.
It's getting close, but with Ghost Quarter locked down, he needs an Abrupt Decay on one of the Pith Needles naming. He needs, an Abrupt Decay to kill the Sorcerer Spyglass naming Ghost Quarter, so that he can Ghost Quarter Jody's Karakas.
Got it.
But his plan right now is just the beatdowns.
Ever heard of Elvish Spirit Guide beatdowns? Familiar with them?
I'm pretty familiar with Simian Spirit Guide beatdowns.
Jody's drawn a Sajiri step now.
That's not as good for him though. His creatures already have evasion. They already fly. He might actually be forced at this point to not attack this turn, so that he can threaten to put 2 blockers on each Elvish Spirit Guide. Because he's losing this race. The Bitter Blossom is chunking him.
9-5 in favor of David Long right now. It looks like they're in extra turns too. Our first match going deep here in Baltimore on day number 2.
Oh, actually, I had the Simian Spirit Guide beatdown story.
Okay.
Through the breach, hit you for 2, GG.
That happened?
Yes. I'd already hit him with an Emrakul, and they were at 2.
Whatever it takes, I guess.
Greatness at any cost.
Yeah.
5 mana, put it in a 2/2 haste.
Yep. Could have been a Grey Ogre. Could have been anything. Shameful.
Well, it couldn't have been a Delver of Secrets. I'll say that.
True. Jody not entirely sure what he's going to do this turn. Same thing we said for the teammates. Todd Stevens, Collins Mullen. They're looking on, trying to help their teammate. Is there an extra turn? It looks like it's turn 0 here. Decisions here for the team of Keith, Stevens, and Mullen in first place after day number 1. Looks like they might just be attacking with 2 fairies.
Not to be confused with T-Fairy, Hero of Dominaria.
Looks like Bajuka Bog will be the play here for Jody.
Sure.
All right, David Long.
Crank.
You're going to bring Dark Depths down to 4. He'll untap all those permanents. It's turn number 1 of extra turns. David will draw.
If things stay as is, I think David actually has it. But we'll see.
Is it time to pull the trigger on the Sajiri step is the question. Sajiri step giving one of those Elvish Spirit Guides pro-black to be able to get in for 2 points of damage.
I think it's fine. I think doing it here, it takes the other Elvish Spirit Guide is probably just going to get chump blocked. There's a chance that Jody just wants to put all 4 tokens on the blockable one, just to clear it off the battlefield.
All right, here they come.
Yeah.
All right. So he's going to take 2. Keith's going to fall down to 3.
There's a good chance this match just ends in a draw.
I mean, we are close.
So this is turn 1 on David's side. Jody only has 2 more actual turns of play, so the Bitter Blossom cannot physically kill him. So David has to find a way to deal 1 point of damage.
Going to tap that Maze of Ith to cast a Sylvan Scrying. Of course, Thespian stage is Maze of Ith right now for David Long. Let's see what land he wants to Scrying for. A Thespian stage. Okay.
That one, oddly enough, not locked down by Pithing.
Yeah. 2 Maze of Iths. Excuse me, 2 Needles are naming Maze of Ith. We got a Sorcerer Spyglass naming Ghost Quarter. And then David's Pithing Needle is naming Vampire Hexmage. Jody going to fall to 2. And he'll draw a card.
Is that our Confidant?
How's that?
It's probably not great in this spot. At this point, he's on track to get a draw. Playing a Dark Confidant may just kill him. And I don't think it actually gives him a chance to win the game. Because he only has one more attack step after this. I don't think he'll be able to deal 7 damage.
Jody is just going to pass the turn back. It's turn 3. Ah, yes. Let's move some more counters, shall we?
Crank.
Down to 3.
This is doing the Thespian stage the hard way.
Yeah. That's how Dark Depths was meant to be played. Until it wasn't anymore. Down to 2. All right, David Long. You got any spice that's nice to draw here?
I mean, even if he's able to Abrupt Decay the Sorcerer Spyglass that's on Ghost Quarter, Ghost Quarter Jody's Caracas, his 2020 still has to go through a bunch of fairies. He's already used the Sagiri Step. Copying Sagiri Step doesn't do anything because it's an enter the battlefield ability.
Elder Spirit Guide will be triple blocked. Jody will lose a couple of fairies. Looks like Jody's starting to play for the draw here. Another copy of Thespian Stage. Pass the turn back. Turn 4 as Keith falls down to 1. Draw a card. It was a copy of Sylvan Scrying there for Jody.
That's not going to do it.
There is Sylvan Scrying. Not sure exactly what we can search for. He's got some sort of shiny silver bullet.
I think they're both in soft locked at this point. If David Long had one more turn cycle, the Bitter Blossom would kill Jody. But Jody decided about 4 turns ago, I think, to play for the draw.
I think so, too.
And he knew that he would get to the spot where he would end at 1 life. He could have played a little more aggressively, you know, and then at one point he could have even played the Dark Confidant and crossed his fingers that it was a land, and then he might have actually been able to steal the game. But the odds of dying to the Dark Confidant are far more dangerous than just playing for an almost positive draw.
Well, there's the removal of an ice counter. And are we going to do it again? We are not. Long will draw.
Jody's also thinking about using his Thespian Stage to copy the opposing Dark Depths, which is a neat trick, because then you don't lose your own Dark Depths like you would have to or whatever.
It'll be a draw, everybody.
Yep.
As these teams just cannot get it done, unfortunately. So we will come back to the feature match area. A heck of